Hello, I'm Martin Greenbank. I work at Channel 4. I'm the head of advertising research and development, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what I do, how I got into it, partly because I'm a graduate of De Montfort University, but partly because there's a real opportunity to attract a diverse and different types of people into the industry, both in marketing, advertising, and media. So the first thing to point out is that it's a very broad industry with loads of different roles in it, and it's often completely overlooked by many, many different people, whether you're at university, whether you're at school, or whether you're actually in postgraduate. And I've referenced that I was at De Montfort University. That was some 30 odd years ago, graduating in 1993. So it seems like an age ago. It will feel like an age ago, probably before many of you were even born. Now, back then, I was just like you. I was a graduate, or undergraduate, looking to study somewhere away from home, far enough away from my parents that I could have a bit of fun. Find a course that was both interesting, challenging, and sort of rooted in something that I was a bit interested in as well. I didn't really know what marketing was. I sort of knew it was a sort of broad discipline. I studied it as part of a combined honours degree with law and computer science. I dropped the computer science after year one, but that's been quite valuable anyway to have that background. And I majored in marketing and minored in law. So it seems like an odd combination, but bizarrely, it's incredibly relevant for a lot of the work that I'm actually doing now. Um, so I suppose that if you're at thinking about a course or you're at university now, you may even have mapped out your career or have thought you had, and I thought I had as well. Finished university, went traveling, lay on a beach, thinking I'm going to get a job in marketing. Seems like a pretty cool thing to do. Didn't really know what it was really expecting for me, and I ended up at a media agency, which is like an ad agency. They're the kind of people who plan and buy advertising campaigns on behalf of major clients. And of course, that brought me into the world of dealing with TV companies, radio stations, outdoor companies, and of course, this newfangled thing called the internet, which was emerging at the time. That's how old I am. And my background, from A levels all the way through to the degree, just sort of opened my eyes to this sort of the world is run by numbers, but you have to be quite creative at the same time. And I suppose that's the sort of root of a lot of really interesting careers. It's not like a legal career or an accountancy career or a medical career where you pretty much know what everyone does. The doctor, you're an accountant, or you're something else. But it's the interesting bit is just the challenge of what changes, and that's what marketing's really good at. So, what kind of companies are involved in marketing? And I'm going to go back into a little bit about media and advertising in a minute. Well, if you think about it, just about every company in the entire UK has a marketing function, or whether that's thinking about what consumers do, people, that's what we call them as well, or thinking about what business to business marketing is, which is another really interesting part of the whole ecosystem. Um, and then within marketing, there are loads of other disciplines. So marketing communications was literally just one lecture uh, and that I had for one term, along with a tutorial. And that covers the entire gamut of everything to do with advertising and promotions and everything that you can do, which you probably see is quite visual. Um, Now, within that, there's media. And I remember it very clearly back at De Montfort, there was one tutorial and one lecture only in the entire term that was to do with media. And I remember coming out of it, going, I don't really want to do anything like that again. That was far too maths based and seemed to be a bit the opposite of the creativity that I thought I was trying to nurture. The irony of that, of course, is that's where I ended up working, in the media side. And I can remember my fellow students at the time having the same opinion, and two of them ended up in media as well, which was quite amusing to all of us. Um, so getting into media was quite an interesting route. I thought I had an advantage having a marketing degree. It turns out I think the advantage that you have is whether you think slightly differently from everyone. The idea that you can be quite analytical but also creative. And that's partly because in marketing and advertising and media, you're often asked to problem solve. So if you're good at problem solving, whether that's with numbers or with ideas, um, could be a career for you. Now, um, ending up at Channel 4 wasn't something I ever thought I would do as part of my career. I thought I'd be some sort of agency type person, maybe run my own agency and sort of do what I've done for the last 20 years. And I've been in agencies for about 20 years. But dealing with the media companies has really opened my eyes to a lot of the change that was going on there. And Channel 4 caught my eye because it was different, different in a lot of ways, and it was quite aligned to my own beliefs as well. It was a not-for-profit organisation. It's commercially funded, and it's publicly owned, which a lot of people don't really understand. So we all own Channel 4. There are no shareholders. Yet it doesn't make a profit. It doesn't return any money to the government, doesn't get any money from the government. It's totally self-sufficient. And ultimately, it's there because we're trying to become a creative powerhouse for the UK industries. And that pays off in many different ways, whether it be BAFTAs or shows like It's a Sin, or we've just secured the Lions coverage, or in fact winning Oscars, which The Father and Anthony Hopkins did, which is a Channel 4 film. So the advertising side is a huge part of that because it's part of the economic side of the creative industries. And the economic side of the creative industries, just in advertising, is worth 25 billion pounds a year in the UK. The broadcast industries are worth 7 billion pounds of that. And you can imagine there's a range of very many different careers that exist within a broadcaster or any media company. And that's the same at media agencies as well. So media is a real hotbed for what's changing, what's interesting, and if you've got a sort of problem-solving type nature around you, I think you'll find it really, really interesting. So how do you get into this? And there are quite a few ways. It doesn't depend on what degree you have. I can say that from a vast amount of experience of employing people. Members of my team have everything from dramatic arts to English to geography to sociology, some with marketing qualifications, some without. Some have been to taken courses in advertising even. It doesn't matter. It's more about the way that you think and you problem solve and your application of how your experience that you can offer an organization. It's quite clear that when we set challenges to interviewees or even at our apprentice intake, you can spot those kind of people pretty early on. So I would encourage all of you to have a look at media and advertising, and especially the media research bit, because that, I would say it, but it's a fascinating bit. If you're interested in how people behave, how media interacts and people interact with that media, it's just a rapidly changing area, and one that is very, very fulfilling. You get to work with all the creative people in a business like Channel 4, and you get to work with all the commercial people. As I say, Channel 4 alone has sales of over £1 billion of advertising a year, and there's some responsibility with that as well, because we feel like we're a cornerstone to the UK creative industries and supporting all of those independent production companies out there. So I'm gonna leave it on the point of how would you, if I were you, thinking about what kind of course would you do that could open this as an opportunity. Just think about those elements of the course, because I think it is in any non-vocational course, so putting things like medicine and accountancy to one side. We do have accountants, by the way. We don't have any doctors. There are some on screen, but not actually working in Channel 4. But you would do well to actually use the experience from your own studies to see what you're interested in. Now, I think the checklist is, if you're incredibly curious, if you are interested in how people behave, then this could be a career option for you. Media research is looking for those sort of interested and interesting people that can problem solve and apply a level of analytical and creative thinking to the challenges that come towards them. Now, there's a big drive to try and attract different types of people into media research because the diversity of thought and background are really important to this industry. We have to think like our consumers do and the general population that's out there. And if we're not reflective of that from an internal perspective, we often can be biased in the way that we think about our audiences and the population as a whole. Have a look at the link that's on the end slide to this video. That puts you in touch with our careers part of Channel 4. It's called 4 Jobs. But every other broadcaster will have a similar sort of intake as well. And we look at both either media careers as a whole in terms of attracting both apprentices or work experience. Obviously, it's highly competitive to get into these because it's quite high profile and everyone seems to know what we do. But if you think about something like media research, it's as widespread as marketing out there. It's in every media organization. It's in every ad agency and media agency as well. So you should consider this as a viable opportunity to investigate at least. And after sort of almost 30 years in this career, it's as fulfilling as it ever was, and I genuinely do learn something every day. So I'll leave you with the link, which will come up in a second, and enjoy your studies. If you are at De Montfort University, it was a cracking place to have my student life.